Right, good afternoon, good evening, good morning champions, and welcome back to another video. And today we are doing an in-depth guide of legendaries, covenants, soulbinds, gems and consumables, and gear. Let's chat about it. So welcome back. This is our second video on the channel. The first one has done so well, and honestly I'm so appreciative of everyone who's shown its support, who's viewed it, who's liked it, and who subscribed to the channel. So any new subscribers, welcome. This channel is going to be all things World of Warcraft and all things Fury Warrior, so stick around. Let's make our class meaningful again, since we're now the bottom of the DPS charts. Very quickly before we start off, I go live 3 times a week over on Twitch from 7:30 till 10:30 doing World of Warcraft, playing World of Warcraft, doing raid progression with the guild, mythic plus runs, and sometimes little community events to get you guys boosted through. So do come on out for that. Be lovely to see you out there. If not, give the channel a subscribe and a like, and we'll see you in the next video. As I said, we're going to be breaking this into 4 main areas of consumables and gems, best in slot gear and gear to kind of aim for, best legendary abilities and how legendaries work in Shadowlands, and your best covenants, soulbinds and conduits. So let's start off with gems and consumables. So as always, they're all going to be listed here as well for your viewing pleasure, but let's talk about some of our enchants that we can do on some of our gear. So on your main hand, you want to be putting Celestial Guidance, and this is going to give you a 5% increase in your primary stat. And for us, as Fury Warriors, that primary stat is strength. Let's boost that strength up. Let's get the highest strength possible. Put this on your main weapon and be the strongest you can be. For your offhand, you've kind of got 2 options here that you can decide for yourself depending whether it's single target or AoE. However, for single target we have got Sinful Elevation, and this gives you a 6% boost on your damage overall on that single target. So for those 10 seconds that this is proccing for, you're going to be doing 6% more damage overall. And then for your AoE situations, I tend to not focus for AoE just because we have the cleaving ability as Fury Warriors, and the cleaving as a Fury is amazing. However, for your AoE, you have got Lightless Force, and this expels a nice big cone of energy in front of you, damaging up to the first 5 enemies within your frontal cone. It's a nice one. It's quite a nice one. Remember, we have to enchant if you want to be doing min-maxing. Get to it. So the next 3 enchants are ones that you really want to make sure you have. If you're thinking about min-maxing, if you're thinking about trying to max out your character to the best, these 3 are your key ones because they're the main important stats that we're going to be focused on as a Fury Warrior. And these are enchants for our chest, rings and gloves. So we have Eternal Stats for our chest, Eternal Strength for our gloves, and Tenant of Haste for our ring. And these are going to give you that boost in primary stat, that boost in strength, and that boost in haste. And these are the key things, like I said before, you need these as a warrior. Granted, I may have made a mistake in my previous video where I said we're going to be focused on critical strike over mastery. I was still in BFA mode where loads and loads of Fury Warriors were doing critical strike, mastery, haste, critical strike. And these 3 are going to be the key that will get you the boost you need in haste, strength and your primary stat to ensure that you're pumping out as much damage as possible. The next 3 are cloak, wrist and boost, and personally I don't do these ones only because they're kind of trivial things. One of them kind of helps lower your Hearthstone cooldown by 5%. The other one stops your full damage by 10%. So it's not key things that are actually going to impact your end game gameplay. So focus on those first 3, put your money into them, and let's get on with the next part. So consumables for Fury Warrior. As we know, strength and haste and all of that is the key thing to ensure that we're putting out the most amount of damage. So your flask for today and for the rest of this expansion until it changes is Spectral Flask of Power. And this increases your primary stat by 70 for 60 minutes. And that's going to give you that boost in your strength and your primary stat to ensure, again, that you're putting out as much strength as possible. Go buy it. They're possibly not that expensive. I don't know. Don't quote me. They could be super expensive by now because of raids. And then potion wise, we have Potion of Phantom Fire, which links in really nicely with Shadow Core Oil. So if you get your Shadow Core Oil and you put it on your weapon and then you use this potion, you're going to get a really nice proc. Again, the details are next to me, but it means you're going to get an increased chance of putting out a random bit of damage. And then the linking with the oil means that you get an increase in damage with an overall increase of damage if your weapon has got the oil on it. So get both of these, you'll be top in DPS charts in no time. Unless they still haven't done the DPS boost like they said they would by the time this video comes out. So let's chat about gearing. So when it comes to gearing, generally speaking, as you're leveling from 1 to 50, 50 to 60, and the early stages of endgame, you want to be ensuring that you're kind of just prioritizing your stats. And remember, I did make a mistake in our previous video and said that critical strike was over mastery, but we're back into mastery, not BFA anymore. Sorry. So always make sure you're going for gear that's going to boost your mastery, because that helps you when you're enraged. Mastery gives you that boost of overall damage during your enrage phase, and as we know from our rotations up in the video here, you want to be enraged 90% of the time. By having your mastery as high as possible, that then means that you're going to have as much damage coming out as possible, especially during those enrage phases, and you're going to see a nice little spike every time you become enraged. Remember, it's always key to sim your character to see what gear is actually best. However, I will put up on the screen now 3 or 4 slides basically explaining what the top gear is and the top locations for each of these gear that you want to find. Make sure you pause it on each screen. I'm going to put about 3 or 4 items on the screen at a time, so make sure you pause them just so you remember what they are. Take a screenshot, take a photograph of it just so you remember, and then you can target this one. But like I said, always remember, sim your character first, find what you need to prioritize yourself, and then work on your best in gear slot. And because we're talking about gear, we're going to have to talk about legendaries. So legendaries are returning in a meaningful, proper way now, and they're actually so good you have to craft them and put things into them and make them your own little congealed ball of fun. So if you don't know already, the way that legendaries work in Shadowlands is that you craft your own legendary base item from ranks 1 through 4. As each rank goes up, they increase in item level and primary stat, and some of the secondary stats. Then you go down into Torghast, or up, down, a direction, and you find the big man, and he will help you craft the things that you put into it, and this will give you the boost that you need. And I think this is a gorgeous way. I'll put a list up next to me when I'm talking. This will just kind of show you what all the slots are. Predominantly it's an entire set. There's a whole gear set. I'll put the image there of how it looks as well. It's a very cool set for plate, considering plate can look awful sometimes. However, you can buy these on the auction house, you can craft them yourself. If your guild has got a crafter in it, ask them if they can make you one. Give a little bit of money, support your fellow crafters, get yourself these base slots, and you can rank them up using the Stardust that you get in your Torghast, and get those to rank 4. They only hit rank 4, which is nice. There's no cloak thing. You end at rank 4 and you're done. So now the customization comes involved. You've got your base level legendary, and now you can do some rune carving to get the best ability possible. So we're going to mainly just go over S tier stuff, because we don't need the rest. We're being the best we can be. Let's focus on S tier. If you focus on the top, you're going to do the top. So your number 1 choice is going to be Deathmaker. Deathmaker means that Rampage has a 30% chance of making Siegebreaker trigger, which means that your uptime on Siegebreaker is going to be so high, and Siegebreaker is an AoE effect. It hits multiple targets, and if that is going off every time you rampage, you're going to be putting out significantly more damage. This does drop off on multiple targets. However, where we can cleave, again, it is more chance of it hitting because it has more people to hit, shall we say. And your other option is Will of the Berserker, and this means when your Recklessness expires, your critical strike will boost by 7% for a total of 8 seconds, meaning that as soon as that period of time is done, you're going to have an additional time to have even more critical strike and pumping out even more damage. This is a very, very strong one, and this would work in both AoE and single target, whereas our first one kind of only predominantly works in single target, however has a good place to go. So have a think between these two. Go with what you think is going to work best for you and how you do endgame content, be it Mythic Plus or raiding or PvP, and see which one of these two is going to best fit your playstyle. However, they're both solid picks. I quite like Will of the Berserker. I like the idea of an increased rage. However, I'm going to be going for Deathmaker. So I just like that. Who doesn't want to get additional siege breakers when they're not even on already? It's great. And then lastly, we have soulbinds, conduits, and covenants. There's a lot in here. Let's try and squish it into a short thing. So your top 2 covenants you want to go for is Kyrian and Venthyr. I've personally gone for Venthyr because I think it's significantly stronger. Kyrian gives you an AoE ability, the Spear of Bastion, which means you can chuck down a spear and it does a lovely AoE damage, which will spike you in those big AoE moments in Mythic Plus. However, Venthyr gives you Condemn, and remember, we can cleave as a Fury Warrior. We have our Whirlwind and we can get that buff and cleave things, and that works for Condemn. And Condemn is it's a very, very slightly overpowered Covenant ability where it's not on a cooldown, so effectively you can, as long as it's triggering, you can pump it out. And if you've got the stats that mean your Execute's going to go quicker, your Condemn's going to go quicker, because Condemn takes over your Execute button. I would personally highly recommend going for Venthyr. 1, aesthetics are cool as hell, and 2, with it going off so often and being able to cleave it, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. I've noticed when I've been playing that when I've been cleaving my Condemn, I've been doing so much damage over the group of people. I haven't tried out Spear of Bastion yet, however I can see its benefits and I can see why it would work in AoE. However, cooldown in comparison to the Venthyr ability, I would go with Venthyr. Let's be clever. And then once you've got your Covenant, and you've got your Covenant ability, it's now time to be choosing Soulbinds, and you want Nagia the Mistblade. And she's a solid choice. She's the best choice you want to go for. Her tree is amazing. I'm going to pop the tree up next to me at the moment as well. I won't go into details about each one. We're just going to mainly talk about the conduits that you're going to be putting into each of the finesse, endurance and potency areas. However, this is the lady you want to go with. There's a recommended tree design just here. Go for that. Pump out as much damage as you can. Let's do this. So personally, when I'm doing my Soulbind build, I'm going to be going for potency, because potency is going to mean you're going to be putting out as much damage as possible. So this is quite a strong one to go with. Endurance is great, and so is finesse. However, personally, and I would also recommend this for you, is to go with potency. And then your first one you want to go for is Depth of Insanity, which means that your recklessness lasts 20% longer. And I know this is not the biggest number in that. 20% is quite a bit considering recklessness does last a long time. This is going to mean that in your big burst sessions, you're going to be pumping out a significant amount of damage, and it's well worth you getting this conduit, ranking it up and popping it in there. You then also have Covenant specific ones, and because we're only talking Venthyr in this video, we're going to talk about the Venthyr specific conduit for potency, which is Ashen Juggernaut. And the lovely thing about this is, because we've gone Venthyr and because we're using Condemn, and because Condemn triggers and procs so much, every time you cast it up to 8 times, it's going to periodically increase the critical strike that Condemn gives. So if you're in your execute phase and you're smashing out Condemn, what's going to happen is up to 8 stacks, you're going to be pumping out increased critical strike with every single hit that you do with Condemn. And then it's going to significantly mean that end section and that last 25 to 35% of your boss or single target or cleaving AoE is going to go so much faster, and hopefully this is when we can fly up the charts. There's a range of other conduits that you can use here, from Night Fae and Necrolords, as well as the endurance and finesse ones. So I'm going to put them up on the screen here. Do give it a pause if you're interested in these ones. However, we're focusing on, like I said, we're focusing on Venthyr and all that fun vampiric stuff. And that's our video done for today. If you have enjoyed it, please do give a subscribe and a like and comment down below. It's been amazing to see the warm reception I received in my first video, so hopefully this second one can push that as well. If you want to catch me live as well, I go live every Tuesday, Wednesday and Sunday from 7:30 till 10:30 playing World of Warcraft, answering Warrior questions. It's the only class I play. And on the 19th, we're doing a charity event, which is going to be a 12 to 24 hour stream of me speed leveling different characters. So do come out. It's for 2 amazing charities, the Autistic Society and the Sequel Trust. So please come out if you can. If not, that's all good. Links down below to all the socials. Like I said, give the channel a sub. We'll see you in next week's video. Bye bye.